Everyone, and Shavua Tov. We continue with priorities in Sefira, and here's the question today. You came to shul late for Maariv. You missed Kriyat Shema with the congregation. You even missed Shmoneh Esrei with the congregation. Do you have to count Sefira with the congregation, because that's what they're up to? Or you follow the regular order of Tadir v'She'ino, Tadir, Tadir Kodem. The frequent comes first. You'll daven your Maariv, you'll daven your Shmoneh Esrei, and then you'll count your Sefira, because quite frankly, there is no halacha that you have to count Sefira with a minyan. So on this particular issue, the halacha seems clear by all the poskim. Count Sefira with the minyan before you daven Maariv. In other words, don't go according to the regular order. And it all goes back to an interesting halacha with the Shulchan Aruch that we're not going to deal with today. If there's an early plag minyan, and they do count Sefira at that minyan, we won't get into reasons why, says the Shulchan Aruch, count with them without a bracha. Hopefully when you get home, you'll remember after dark to count with a bracha. Comes along the Taz and attacks the Shulchan Aruch, says the Turei Zahav on the Shulchan Aruch, and I quote his words, I have no idea what good it is for him to count with the minyan early without a bracha. And finally, after dealing with it, he comes to the following conclusion. Maybe he does it so that the people looking at him won't think that he doesn't count the Omer. In other words, the whole congregation is counting the Omer at this early plag minyan, and he's not. So in order for them not to think that he doesn't want to count the Omer, he should count the Omer with them. Based on that model comes along a book that everyone quotes that I have no idea who the author is. Some call it Chukat Pesach, some call it Divrei HaGeonim, the exact source is in front of you. And he says, based on this, Nira, Afilu Yaresh, Shema Yishkach Mikol Makom, totally Spori Matzibur. Even if a person is not worried that he's going to forget to count Sefira, it's better to always count with the congregation, even at the early minyan, or in our case, even though he didn't daven Maariv yet. Why? And he says explicitly, in a case in which they davened already and he didn't daven yet. For the reason that the Taz that we just quoted, that they don't suspect him, that he doesn't want to count Sefira, ve'od, and he adds the Barovam. So two reasons. Number one, they don't go ahead and say, hey, this guy doesn't want to count Sefira. He's standing right there and he's not counting with us. And number two, it's always good to do every mitzvah berovam v'hadrat melech. Namely, even if you don't need a minyan, it's better when a lot of people are doing the mitzvah at the same time. Therefore, Psukei de Zimra, there's no kiyum to say it in a minyan, but we do say it together because there is a kiyum of berovam v'hadrat melech, doing one mitzvah with a lot of people at the same time. So for those two reasons, that they shouldn't go and suspect you that you don't want to count Sefira, and because of berovam, count the Sefira and then make up your Maariv alone. The book Me'am Lo'ez, which is a very beautiful set of books. It was written by a Jerusalem Jew named Rav Yaakov Kuli. His years, 1689 to 1732. It's a huge set. It usually is Perushim and Maasiyot and beautiful stories on the Parsha. But here and there is a halachic comment. And indeed in Parshat Emor, when dealing with the issue of Sfirat HaOmer, he says, V'im ba'u matzah shehakahal kvar yitpalel arvit. Indeed, if he comes late to Maariv, v'omed b'sfira, and they're standing by Sfira, hu monei imam, he should count with them, v'achakach mitpalel arvit, and then daven Maariv, v'ein bekach klum shemakdim Sfira la'arvit. And even though he's changing the normal order, there's no problem with it. Rav Chaim Falaji, who we already introduced in a former shiur, says in one of his many books called Moed L'Kol Chai, the same halacha. And indeed, he says for the same reason, Berovam, V'hadrat, Melech, that because of the reason of many people doing the mitzvah at the same time, at least he should do Sefira at the same time that others do it. And finally, the Minchat Yitzchak. The Minchat Yitzchak had a fascinating life. He started his life 1902 to 1989 as a principal of a school in Munkach. He eventually got to Romania, eventually became a dayan based in Manchester, and eventually in Yerushalayim, a dayan in the Eida Charedis based in. It's a fascinating life. The Minchas Yitzchak, who wrote endless responsum, writes in here his responsum that he just got a book that says that the Chazon Ish actually gave this particular instruction. The Chazon Ish said that, and I quote his words, he said that if you indeed have a chance to say Sefira, to count Sefira with a congregation, you can do it even before saying Kriyat Shema, which is exactly our case, or in a case in which you came into shul late, but not so late. You came into Maariv late, but they're about to start Shmona Esrei. The halacha is you daven Shmona Esrei, and then you make up Birkot Kriyat Shema together with Kriyat Shema at night only, not in the morning. In the morning you have to Somech Geula Latfila. So maybe it's that case too, he says. Count the Sefira with the Minyan. Comes along the Minchas Yitzchak, Rav Yitzchak Weiss, and actually strengthens his words and says, even though Kriyat Shema should come before Sefira, Tadir v'she'ino Tadir Kodem, he says, with due respect, in this case, one, Al tifrosh min hatzibur, don't be different than everyone else. Everyone else is counting Sefira, you should count with them. Vegam, and in addition, the Yabetz, mainly Rav Yaakov Emden, says that it's very important to count Berovam with many people, and the Shlosh says you should count with the Minyan. So for these three reasons, he says, count the Sefira first. So to sum up, if you come into shul late, and you did not daven Maariv, you didn't even say Kriyat Shema yet, even though frequent would dictate that you should do that first, if the Minyan is standing by Sefira, you should count with them. Number one, so that they don't suspect that you don't want to count Sefira. Number two, Barov Am V'Hadrat Melech, better that a mitzvah is done with many people. Number three, it's also, according to the Shla at least, an Inyan to say Sefira with a Minyan. Oh, no,